Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Kitchings Table. I'm your host, W. Earl Kitchings. And as always, we are definitely happy to be here with you this morning. And we're going to get this thing started. We got a very interesting topic today. As a matter of fact, we got a guest with us today that Ron Lee was so kind to bring in as a part of Women's History Month. And we want to make sure that we capture as often as we can and all the information we can and knowledge and wisdom that we can and bring that to you. So good morning, Ronleen.
Good morning, Earl. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good for a Tuesday morning. Always
Yes,
good to see you on this Tuesday morning.
thank you. You as well.
So we're talking about Women's History Month, and our show today is titled "Women Paving the Way in Education, Presence, and More." And when you're talking about education, I mean, in this day and time, it has become one of the most valuable and important things for us to talk about simply because of those political actors who choose and are doing everything they can to minimize education in such ways as to take books off the shelf, decide what topics won't be used, to go as far as saying they're going to get rid of diversity in our schools. The University of Florida has already removed its diversity inclusion department. About 30 people have lost their jobs simply because our governor in this state of Florida has decided that such topics are not part of what he wants the atmosphere or the landscape of our colleges to be. So, again, when you got people trying to remove and wipe out history, and history is nothing more than stories, and you can't go back and change history. You can't erase it and say, well, that didn't happen, or oh no, it wasn't that way, or anything like that, simply because it's been documented, it's been written about, and especially things that's over 200 years old. You definitely can't go back and change any of that because there's only a couple of things I think you can change. I think I'm glad they finally got rid of the fact that Columbus did not discover America. Okay, yeah, let's be real. I mean, that did not happen. Although that's the way we were brought up to for the sake of having a holiday. Okay, we got a holiday simply because this guy, oh, he bumped his head and made the wrong turn and found something he thought he found and it wasn't it. And as you heard some comedians say, how can you find somebody who's already in place? You found you found this place. People welcomed you to the place, and you tell them, "Oh, I discovered you." No, but anyway, education is so critically important. I'm a big supporter of the National Education Association and the Florida Education Association for their efforts in making sure that schooling is done at a high level. But between charter schools and governors who want to reverse things and other political actors who want to change things, it's becoming a real critical issue. What do you think?
You're right. You're right. It's very sad that this kind of thing can happen in 2024, the 21st century, the place where we claim that more people are now educated, and it's like, are we going backwards or are we going forward? And we know that is the backward thing to do.
Well, we have to find a way to stem that tide of going backwards because nobody who are in their right mind really wants to go backward. But moving forward, you have a special guest with us today, and I'm going to let you bring her on to the show. And we welcome her with all our energy and positiveness, all the way from the West Coast. You know,
Yes.
she's been up quite early. But Ronlene, I'll let you do the introductions.
All right, so I have, I love to call her my sister, um, thank you, Miss Cindy L. Harper. She's out of Bakersfield, California, and she's been doing some extraordinary things. She's the number one bestseller with her new book called Road Signs to Wisdom. And let me put that up very quickly for you. You can find it on Amazon. And Cindy has a special education. She has a master's in special education, so she's now teaching children. She was in financial services for 17 years, and I'm just going to let her talk about her book for a moment, and then we'll dive right into what we have in store for you about our topic for today: women paving the way in education, presence, and more.
Awesome. Thank you, Ronleen. Thank you, Earl. I appreciate being a part of your show today. This is an honor. I'm honored to be with you amongst illustrious individuals. And this book, it was published a couple of years ago, and it had been in my credenza for like 13 years. It had been completed, and I just didn't know how to go about getting it out there. And it's a compilation of quotes and scriptures and sayings and poems and things that my mother sent me over the years, things that I've collected. I'm an avid reader, and I love positive quotes. I'm always reading something from a self help standpoint so I can get better. I'm reading scriptures, so I'm reading spiritual things, so I'm growing that way. And then also just for pleasure. I cannot imagine a life without books. So when I would speak years ago, people would always ask me for copies of things that I was sharing. So I thought, why not compile these in a book and share it with the world? So that's what I did. So I'm really proud of the book. I love the way it turned out. And a couple of years ago, when I said, because this is 2024, time goes by so quickly. It's like it is so true that life is like a vapor. So the book came out in 2022 then. So worked with the publisher for close to a year to get it on the market. And that year, I was like, okay, I had opened my credenza and I saw it, and I had a mock up of the book. I saw it and I was like, okay, Lord, you're going to have to show me how to get this out there. I was tired of it being in that, and I want it to be out to the world. So then within a couple of months, I was able to connect with a publisher, and then the rest is history. So I'm really proud of how it turned out. And it's a book that you don't read cover to cover. It's something that you put by your bedstand or on your coffee table, and you pick it up and read, say, 5 minutes a day, get a nugget of knowledge for the day, and then take that and chew on it and have it boost you. So that's a little bit about the book.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm glad to hear you say these were things that your mother um, gave to you along the way, and you decided, hey, these are words of wisdom. Let me capitalize on it. And these are the things that have paved our way today to who we are today. So thank you so much. I have enjoyed, and like you said, it's not something that you can just pick up and read cover to cover. You do have to chew on some things. And things that starts to make sense, things that I heard over the years, and I was like, wait a minute, I totally understand that now. I didn't understand it then. Some things that I didn't like being said when we were coming up, but now it's like, okay, now you're living that life, and it's like, oh wow. And this is why I wanted you on today, because of the time that we're talking about. You are in education now. Things are so critical now. And so I wanted you to share with the world why it's important to get your education, why it's important for you to fight for it, why it's important for you to have a presence. And I didn't mention it earlier, but Cindy has made her presence known with Cindy Speaks, and she does have her motivational business going, speaking business going on. So I want you to talk a little bit about that.
Awesome. Thank you. My motivational speaking business is entitled Dreams to Reality. And I've been speaking and coaching and training both youth and adults for, gosh, 30 years now, I guess, off and on. And I created a character education program in like 2000 that I taught to grade school children from like third through high school. And it was a program, it was a 10-week program that was geared towards character because it was called Integrity Hour. Because a lot of times kids, if you say, tell me about your character, they want to talk about how a person looks or their features, which character has nothing to do with that. So I talked about integrity, the importance of respect for yourself, respect for elders, respect for authority. We talked about goal setting and the free enterprise system. And it was just wonderful to see children, once they're exposed to different lights, how they gravitate towards them. Because the class was always a combination of some at risk students and those who are not at risk to have a good combination. So I was really proud of that. So I did that for a handful of years. And then fast forward, this is my 9th year as a special education teacher. And I wanted to impact youth in a different level. I've been in the financial services industry for over 30 years. And the last 26 and a half years, I was a mortgage loan consultant. So I worked almost 7 days a week. I'd be at home thinking I had the day to myself. I could clean, and then I'd get a call from a realtor and have to go into the office. I would take 1 week off a year, shut my phone off, go out of the country, and that was it. So I needed more me time. So when I knew it was time for that, I was like, okay, Lord, what would you have me to do? And when he showed me education, I was like, oh my. I was like, all right, you're going to have to show out for me when I take the CBEST. Show out, I'll know it's from you. And the rest is history. Went back to school in my 50s to get my mild moderate teaching credential, my master's in special education, and my preliminary administration credential. And these last 9 years have been very enlightening. And Ronleen, you asked a question, you wanted me to touch on the importance of education. All across the board, education has always been respected amongst people, and it's been something that's been important. But for those of us who are Black Americans or Brown Americans, it's not something, and I'll just talk from the Black standpoint because of who I am. It was something that we were eliminated from initially. It's like we weren't supposed to learn how to read. They didn't want us to learn how to read. They didn't want us to be empowered. So we were oppressed from the education standpoint. So then when we finally got to come to the table, education amongst Black people was something that was revered. It was something that you aspire to. And maybe parents didn't have the opportunity, but they wanted their children to have the opportunity. It's like, we want you to have an education. And today, and that went on for years, but say the last few decades, we have kids who they think they're going to make it in NBA or NFL. And granted, a lot of them do, but those numbers are fewer than greater. So you still have to have a plan B. And your education is critical. Many people who've made fortunes, they didn't even need their education for it, but they still had that as their background, and it's still their foundation. So I believe education is a foundation for all of us, whether you use it or you don't, but particularly for us, when we have to work harder and we have to have more experience and background to actually get the position. So, the playing field isn't always even for everyone. Sometimes a woman will get in easier than a man will. Sometimes a person of a certain ethnicity will. So it's like, to level the playing field, it's like, do all that you can on your end so that you know that you are giving yourself the best shot at achieving what your goals are.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you so much. Now, you talked about the program, and it said one of the ladies asked, "Is the program still in existence? If so, where?"
Which program is she
I
speaking of?
think I think she's speaking of the one where you
Integrity Hour.
I think so.
Probably. No, I haven't done that in a number of years just because I'm teaching full time now. But when I retire from this in terms of a day to day, that is definitely something that I will get back into the school districts because that's something that's needed everywhere. All students can benefit from that. So thank you for that question.
You're welcome. Because Earl and I, we were working on a program that he started, and we're trying to get that into schools, and not a whole lot of openness there. So hopefully, you'll be able to get back to that because, like you said, everything that we can get our hands on today is needed. And who knew that your program was on someone's list, or they had been looking for it? So I'm glad that you're here today in order for someone to say, hey, where is that program? So we thank Sharice Boyd Jackson for that, for bringing that comment into view. All right. So next, why is it important for our presence to be present as a women? Talk about that.
So, why is it important for our presence to be present as women? Oh,
Yeah.
I love that question. I like how you phrase that, Ron Lee. Women have so much to offer. I truly believe that we've always been waymakers. And when I think of Harriet Tubman and a lot of women and Rosa Parks, those are two that come to my mind. We've always been a strong backbone for our community and from a nurturing standpoint. And when our men were oppressed and we were the backbone of the family per se because we weren't perceived as strong, so we were less intimidating, so therefore we quote unquote had more power. We rose to the occasion and we had to hold the fort down. And I love women's journey from the standpoint, I remember this commercial years ago, and it was a crazy commercial. It was about Anjali. You know how a fragrance, but it's like I can bring home the bacon, I can fry it up in a pan, and we can do everything. And a woman's work is never finished. If you're a mother and you're a wife, my goodness, and you work, which a lot of women do, and a lot of women who can stay at home with their children, they still choose to work because they're like, oh, I'm a better mother when I go to work. I can't stay with these kids all day long, and I can understand. But anyway, that's why they send them to us during the day. But anyway, we wear a lot of different hats and we wear them well. And it really is true. A woman's work is never finished. From the time you get up, you're seeing to your children, you're seeing to your husband, you come home from a long day of work, you're cooking for your family, you're making sure the kids have their homework done. And I'm not saying dads don't play a role as well, but women, we are everything to everyone in our lives. And we do it with such grace. And I think a lot of times people don't recognize all that we sacrifice so that we can lift others up. But I just believe women are superheroes. We are awesome. We've accomplished so much. And I love that we have really come into our own in this century where we see women across the board doing everything from directing to starring to being the CEO. And we've been given the opportunity to come to the table, and we've come to the table roaring and have done a phenomenal job. I'm just proud of women's strength and the fact that we do have so much energy and vitality and we share it well.
Thank you so much. And now you wanted me to do the African American acknowledgement about Michelle R. Obama. So I'm going to, before you leave today, I want you to talk about her and how she inspired you when she came on the scene as the First Lady of the United States of America, as the African American woman.
I'm just so impressed by Michelle Obama. I read her book Becoming years ago, and she is so eloquent. She's educated, she is classy, she carries herself in such a phenomenal manner. And I love the fact that she doesn't allow people to push her down, she rises above. And she doesn't listen to the rhetoric. A lot of times it's like people get offended, but offense comes from the Greek word bait. When someone, if you allow yourself to be offended, you took the bait. So don't take the bait, rise above. It's like we're only offended if we choose to be offended. But I love the fact that, when she was in the White House, people are singing her praises 1 minute and then they're talking down another minute. They're saying how beautifully she dresses, and then it's like, where did she get that from? I just love the fact that she did it with grace. And her daughters are a testimony to both her and former President Barack Obama, their love and their nurturing. And I love the fact that when she was in the White House, she embraced the world and she brought people in that had never been in. And she really rallied around children, and she rallied around nutrition and proper eating. And I just love the fact that everything about her exudes positivity.
Oh, thank you. And see, this is why you need to read her book, you all, because these are the kind of things that's in her book that keep you inspired, that keep you um, just churned in. I'm talking about Cindy's book now, Road Signs to Wisdom, because these are things that she has learned along the way that has spoken into her positivity every day. And when tell me about your children. I know your children, their minds just light up when you walk into your classroom. Talk about that.
These last 9 years have been challenging and they've been so rewarding. I teach students who have mild, moderate learning disabilities. So, the way the majority of them process language, there's a disconnect. So, it makes it hard for them to read. And I'm an avid reader. And so, I'm passionate about helping our students learn to read and for instilling in them confidence when they feel that they can't. Because when you have a third grader who's reading at a first grade level, and it's hard when they see it, and it's hard for them to blend sounds together and they struggle, but to let them know, hey, I'm here, and you work with them. And then when you see them go from here to here, it's beautiful to see. And I enjoy being a light to them. All of our students aren't going to go to college, but they can still be independent and make a beautiful contribution to society. Sometimes I hear Miss Harper so much, I'm like, ooh, but I teach my students to call people by their names because my mother told me the most beautiful sound to a person is the sound of their own name. Because a lot of times we don't hear it. People say hi, they don't say hi, Ron Lean. But when someone says your name, it makes your ears perk up because we don't hear our names a lot. So when they walk into the classroom and they say hi, I would say hello. I'll do my ear and then the hello, Miss Harper, because I always call them by their names. So sometimes I hear my name so much, it's like, ooh, I wish they didn't know what my name was. It's just like, and I've heard women say that, oh, I hear mom or mother so much. It's like, ooh, I wish they just wouldn't call my
Mm-hmm.
but it's like I love being there for them. And that's one reason I just want to add that I created my YouTube channel, Cindy Harper Speaks, because a lot of our students don't have books at home. So I think it was 3 years. It was either in 2020 or 2021. It seems like I've just lived with it so long. I probably have about 600 books on there now. And I love the fact my sister says it's like she'll listen to it a lot of times at night and it just relaxes her. So it's like I can read a story to my sister at night.
Right.
So exactly. And then you, Ronaldine, shared with me a story that I just recorded yesterday that you listened to today. But I did that because the pandemic happened and we weren't going out as much. And I just wanted kids to have that at their fingertip from me. It's just a gift that I do. And it's like I get pleasure in the morning just recording a book and it starts my day off in a positive way because like I said, I cannot imagine life without reading, but I love making deposits into children, letting them know you can be all you want to be, work hard, persist. When it's difficult, that's not the time to give up. That's the time to push harder. And I know I'm going to push you hard, but you're going to love me at the end for it.
Oh, I heard that from a dear friend of mine, and I call her mama to this day. You know, she said to like me is to love me, and I'm like, oh, I'll never like you, but I found out in a very short time that I love her dearly, and the things that she has deposited into me. She read something that I had written when I think I was like 19 or 20, and she said, "Wow," she said, "this is powerful." She said, "Do not ever stop writing." And I'm like, "Well, people act like they don't understand what I've written." And she was like, "It's not for them." She said, "They have to come up to where you are. They have to have been through the things that you've been through in order to understand, what you've written about and where you're going." So, still to this day, I do write every now and then. And I am so thankful that I do, because it does capture what's in my heart, my heartstrings and what pulls on them and things like that. And to be able to share that with someone else. I share it from time to time with your sister, and she just lets me know, like, hey, I hear you, I'm with you,
Yes.
and that kind of thing. So thank you so much for being on today. I know it's time for you to exit out to your classroom. So do you have any last things for us? And Earl, if you have something for us, let me know. Come back on to the show. You're still here.
Well, it's as they say, it's like it's hard to follow up behind when Michael Jackson would perform. It's like it's hard to follow Michael Jackson on stage. Cindy, you made so many outstanding points today. You say so many things that I've said in my own way and relayed in my own way. So I'm definitely happy to know that you have that vision, you have that intangible thing to help students grow, to help parents learn, because parents need to learn at the same time you're teaching the children. So all those things are very outstanding. Um, I'm going to send you a copy of my book, The Gut Check
Thank
Dictionary,
you.
simply because you said some things that touched me from the standpoint of we all need something to motivate us every day. Some
Right.
words of wisdom, words of inspiration, words of motivation. And as I was sitting here listening to you, and I'm looking at your book, Road Signs, things start popping in my head. I'm like, well, maybe her next book needs to be Stop Signs to Wisdoms, or Yield Signs to Wisdoms, or Merge to Wisdom, because the roadside thing kind of got stuck in my head about, well, all these signs that she could have as part of this road sign series. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's too much for her to think about. So that's what kind of came to mind. But thank you so very much for all that you are doing, all you've done, and all that you will do in helping our children to learn, to teaching them not only lessons in history but etiquette at the same time. And may you continue to be blessed.
Amen. Thank you. I received that. And I would like to leave you with an excerpt from my book. How's that?
That's great.
Yes.
This is entitled 2 Days a Week, and it's on page 137. There are 2 days in every week about which we should not worry, 2 days that should be kept free from fear and apprehension. One of these days is yesterday, with its mistakes and cares, its faults and blunders, its aches and pains. Yesterday has passed forever beyond your control. All the money in the world cannot bring back yesterday. We cannot undo a single act we performed. We cannot erase a single word we said. Yesterday is gone. The other day we should not worry about is tomorrow, with its possible adversities, its burdens, its large promise and poor performance. Tomorrow is also beyond our immediate control. Tomorrow's sun will rise, either in splendor or behind a mask of clouds, but it will rise. Until it does, we have no stake in tomorrow, for it is yet unborn. This leaves one day, today. Any man can fight the battles of just one day. It is only when you add the burdens of those two awful eternities, yesterday and tomorrow, that we break down. It is not the experience of today that drives men mad. It is remorse or bitterness for something which happened yesterday and the dread of what tomorrow may bring. Let us therefore live one day at a time.
Yes. And that thing right there, that got me. It's like, we try to cram so much into our day. We just have to slow it down. And it's just one moment at a time. We have to digest 1 second at a time that we're given in order to build to that one moment. And, before you know it, you're into your day. And then by the time you finish your day, whether you got everything done or not, it's gone. And all you have to look forward is let's do it all over again tomorrow. So I'm going to release you back to your classroom. Cindy, it was a happy moment to have you here today with us. And go ahead and take us into our break, Earl.
Okay,
Thank
once
you.
again, Cindy Hopper, thank you so very much, and you continue to do your thing out there in California. All right. Well, we're at our break here on the Kitchings Table. That's a copy, cover of the book Road Signs to Wisdom by Cindy Harper. You can go online to find that book and order that book directly and get you a copy and get some wisdom and inspiration in your lives each and every day from Cindy. Thank you so much for Cindy and all that she's doing. This is the Kitchings Table. And Ronline, I want to kind of piggyback on that book by bringing up the other book that, I probably should have done this a long time ago, but let me see if I can pull it up. Can you pull it up? Because I want to just share everybody. Yeah, there you go. So now you can get a copy of Cindy's book, and you can also get a copy of my book, Gut Check Dictionary. Gut Check Dictionary. You can order it today. Go to WEKITCH22 at AOL.com and put in your order for my book, book of motivational quotes, 200 motivational quotes. Some of them I wrote myself. Some of them come from some very intelligent and smart and wise people. The Gut Check Dictionary available now at WEKitch22 at AOL.com. Only $15 when you order it, and shipping is free. So thank you, Cindy. And we're going to continue to move our program along here on the Kitchings Table. Ronnie, thank you so very much for bringing such a wonderful and marvelous guest to our show today, because her words of enlightenment and inspiration definitely are things that we can take and use each and every day. So we're happy that that happens. And, you keep finding these incredible guests to bring on the show. And I can't wait to see who you finish out the Women's History Month with. You've already hit 2 home runs. You got 2 more home runs to try to hit. And when you score 4 runs in baseball, when you got 3 people on base and you hit a home run, that's called a grand slam. So when you finish out this month, you would have hit a grand slam with all these phenomenal women that you brought to the show. So thank you so very much. And once again, we thank Cindy Hopper. It's like I said, it's kind of hard to follow that, because that was powerful. That was truly powerful. And when you have someone that powerful coming on the show and talking about things, and as we spoke about, when you're talking about the educational component and contents of what's going on in our country today, we need a lot of positive energy to fight back the evil forces that are out here now, who want to do things that are just inhumane, unkind. When you have people propping up a demonic leader like a Adolf Hitler, we're in trouble, because we kind of thought some of that was behind us. But that's why education is so important. And I think when she pointed out the fact that we need to make sure that we are taking care of that educational part, we need to read more. And one of the things that we don't talk about when reading, yes, reading is important, and the part B to that is writing is important. And Ronnie, I don't know if you are aware of this, but they don't really teach cursive writing in schools anymore.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yes. When I
So
found that out about 9 years ago, I think it's been 9 years now. I was um I was looking at one of the students and I said, okay, I said, sign your name. And he said, sign my name. And I was like, yes. And so when he wrote it out, I said, no, that's printing your name. I said, cursive writing. And so then he said, oh, Mrs. Kennedy, we don't do cursive writing anymore. And I was like, you don't? And he was like, no. And so um, I said, well, when you're in your classroom, I say, do they have the alphabets up in the classroom? He said, yes. He said, now, when I first started school, it used to be cursive writing. He said, but now they've taken it away. He said, so everything is just strict manuscript. And I was like, oh my goodness. I said, well, I would hate for you to come across any of the writings from the early 20th century and before, because you won't know what it's saying.
at all,
You won't be able to read it. And
at all.
so he said, well, can you teach me cursive writing? So we started on, then and there of teaching cursive writing, because he thought about some of the things that he had to come across, some of the letters and things like that. And he wanted to know what they said, but he was too young to understand what cursive writing was about in order to master it so that he could read what his great grandfather had written and some of the letters that he had come across in his lifetime. And he said, wow, he said, this goes back to what I've always heard. If you don't want people to learn something, place it in a book. And he was like, so I guess this the same thing applies to cursive writing. If you don't want them to know what you're saying, write in cursive writing. So he did learn cursive writing and he taught it to his brothers.
Well, there's another humorous side to what you just said about learning and writing and putting things in a book. If you want to keep your money, if you got money in your house, you want to keep it safe from intruders, put it in a book.
Mm-hmm.
If they see the books, they're not gonna bother the books. So nah. So
Your book,
that
your money is safe inside the book. Forget
is
the
very
mattresses.
safe.
Yes.
It's very safe. They're gonna go through everything in the house. You're gonna see everything else torn up. But your library, man, those books are gonna be sitting there at attention, like they know they're not coming over here to look through no books. So anyway, but yeah, going back to the cursive writing thing, it's unfortunate that because everything is printed and manuscripted, that that particular skill is not taught anymore, because everything is computerized and everything is done on a computer. They seem to have strayed away from teaching children how to write. And you want them to sign their name, but you didn't teach them how to sign their name, but you want them to sign their name. So you said, well, sign your name. Like, what is that? How do I sign my name? And they go to print the name, like, excuse me, no, sign. It's like, I was never taught how to sign my name because I was never taught how to write cursively. So,
Mm-hmm.
but just like that student who said to you, would you teach me? I had the same thing happen to me with a student when I spoke to him about writing, because he was challenged with writing, and in talking to him about writing cursively, he was engaged with wanting to know how to write. He wanted to be taught how to write those letters, and that's where we are, and we have to understand that that's a part of teaching that we have to do. But again, if it's not done in school, where can it be done? And if
That's
it's
so
not done at home, I guess it won't get done. So that's very, very unfortunate. And then one of my, I won't say a pet peeve, but one of my things that I am totally uh, all about in teaching our young children, and we have to understand that we have to grab our children at a young age. I know they say, well, they're too young to learn. No, if they can learn how to do stuff on a computer, if they can play games and learn how to do all that stuff on a computer at ages 7, 8, and 9, they can be taught things. Don't you know, think that they can't. But one of my biggest things of getting children to learn at an early age is math.
Mm.
Is math and learning how to do math, numerical problems, but more importantly, Ronleen, teaching children how to solve and come up with the correct answers in word math problems. Because you have to be able to read and understand. That's the first part. You got to read that problem and understand what you're reading in order to solve it. And one of the things, and I created a vocabulary list of words to help children understand how to apply a certain word in a math problem to tell you what function of math you need to use. So there are certain words that only apply to addition. Some words only apply to subtraction, then multiplication and division. So when you see that word in a word problem, it will tip you off to know what kind of problem it is. But if those words aren't taught from that perspective, and you give a child a word problem and they're sitting there agonizing over what they're reading and they don't understand it because they're not understanding how the word is used in the problem, or they're not familiar with the word, it's a problem. And again, if you don't want children of color to proceed, this is another way to help them not understand, retain, and go forward. You want them to be stuck. So there are things that we can do. And as we talked about maybe last month in Black History Month here in Florida, there's an organization that's wanting to empower churches for teaching Black children in churches education, want to educate them through the church. And that's not something, that's not a place where the governor can bother. He can't touch that. You can't come and tell the church what they can and cannot teach. He can't do that part. And I guarantee you, if he ever approaches that particular standard, we're going to find ourselves in some serious social and civil right trauma. Because as bad as they want to say they don't want woke to be taught, all these other things, the history, well, and the claims they make, well, some parts of history helped other people out, all these myths and fabrications. We have to, again, take control of these things ourselves. And if we don't, shame on us. We can't blame anybody. Shame on us. So a child is never too early to learn. I recall back in the somewhere between 89 and 91, I was serving as the SAC chair at an elementary school. As a matter of fact, elementary school where I attended. And the principal had myself and a couple of individuals went on this trip to Houston, Texas. And we visited an elementary school in the Black, they call them wards out there in Texas, in the Black ward, predominantly Black ward. And we went to this school where this gentleman was teaching children first grade, second. He was teaching every grade level to read 1 to 2 grade levels ahead of what grade they were in. And when they were calling those children to say things and read things, those children were spitting that stuff out and reading it without any hesitation. It's almost like, I dare you to call me. I want you to call me. I want to show you I can do this. And it's like, if they can learn at that young age, why are we holding it back? Teach them all that they can learn. And if they can't learn it, then you have to make an assessment. Okay, well, we'll dial it back a little bit and keep it within the realm where we can teach them, but I'm not going to hold anything back from them. I remember teaching a second grader how to do multiplication, and he went to a 4th grade class and did a multiplication/addition problem. And the 4th graders applauded him. And I'm like, why are y'all applauding him? Y'all should know how to do this same problem. Y'all applauding him because he can do it in the 2nd grade, because he applied himself. He learned. So our children can learn. They just need people to engage them the right way with the right mechanisms to teach them, to engage them, because I guarantee you they are hungry to learn. They just don't want to be learned or taught, excuse me. They don't want to be taught in a non-engaging fashion. They want to be, it's got to be interesting and okay, interesting, entertaining, whatever works to grab their attention, to teach them. That's what we have to do, and challenge them. They don't mind, like they're young, they don't mind being challenged. They don't mind being challenged. We think they don't want to be challenged, but you challenge them. Because one of the questions, and I challenge anyone to ask a child this question, Ronleen, whether it's your child, your neighbor's child, your grandchild, your niece, I don't care who it is, your child at the church, I guarantee you, you're going to get the same answer. And here's my question that I ask children. Are you afraid to be smart? Are you? I even take it to another. Are you scared to be smart? Now they really understand the word scared. Afraid, they may not. Afraid? You say, are you scared to be smart? And guess what they respond? I ain't scared to be smart. Prove it. Prove it. Show me you are not scared to be smart. Do your work. Show me. Because when you ask them that, they don't want to feel left behind. They don't want to feel minimized. So when you challenge them, they'll respond. But we tend to back off as opposed to push forward. Oh, they can't learn that. Yes, they can. That's too advanced for them. No, it's not. And if it is, guess what? They'll let you know. But if they're eager to learn, you pour it into them. You keep pouring it into them. Repetition. You learn your ABCs repetitiously. I was talking to someone the other day who's like, 7 years old, and they were they were younger than that. I think they were like 5 years old because they go to preschool, and they said, I know my ABCs. I said, well, sing them. Notice I didn't say them. I said sing them. And you know what he did? A, B, C, D. I said, man, didn't we all learn the ABCs that way to that song?
Yes, we did.
So the repetition, and you would, when you're in preschool and you repetitiously did that every morning. Let's say our ABCs, repetition, repetition, repetition. So we can teach repetitiously, and our children will learn, whether it's to a song or whether it's to some other mechanism, but they can learn. We just choose to find ways to minimize it because other people tell us our children, no, that's too advanced for them. I beg to differ. If I teach them the correct way, I guarantee you they will learn it, and they will show you they can capture what we're teaching them. So ask that question. Are you scared to learn? Or no, I'm sorry, are you scared to be smart? Not learn, be smart. They understand that. Are you scared to be smart? And see what the answer is. I don't think any child will tell you, I don't want to be smart. Can you help me be smart, Miss Ronleen? Can you help me be smart, Miss Ronleen? I want to be smart. Can you help me?
And we sit right on down to the table and we get started.
And let's get started. Let's get started. Because you're going to teach, they're going to learn. If they learn one more new thing today, that's one more new thing they learn. So after 180 days, if you taught them one new thing in the course of a school year, they learn 180 new things.
That is correct. Yes.
How do you tell me a child cannot be smart when they want to learn?
And it doesn't matter what kind of phase they're in, whether it's pre-operational or operational, it doesn't matter. You just start.
You just jump in and go at it. They will tell you, they will show you by expressions on their face, so they will tell you when it's a bit much. Other than that, hey. Anyway, we're going to let you go to our guest, Black Female of the Month. But before that, could you just bring up the other slide? Because just want everyone to know that in addition to my Gut Check book coming out this fall will be my new book, The Gut Check for First Responders. And all my books in my Gut Check series, they are books with motivational quotes. And I'm very proud of this book that will be coming out because it is strictly dedicated to first responders and quotes that will apply to them in their professions. Gut Check for First Responders coming out in fall of 2024. And I'm looking forward to this book coming out because it is quite, if I must say so myself, Ronleen, it is quite the book for those people who work in those services.
We're very good because we've been working for you for a long time, trying to make sure that all of this gets into print so that people can get it and be inspired. And not just that, to have it for their toolbox because they see some things out there as first responders, and the things that they see can be horrific. And so they need to know that they're doing a great job. Sometimes you can't save
Absolutely.
everybody, but sometimes words bring you back to being able to set that in motion for you to be able to go out the next day in order to do it all over again.
There you go. All right. So, who is our featured Black female for today?
All right, this is the former First Lady of the United States of America. She was our First Lady of African American 2009 to 2017. She received her Juris Doctorate from Harvard University. And I'm just so proud of the things that she has done, during her time and tenure. The Let's Move to fight obesity, the fight for getting the girls back from in that was captured in Nigeria, those kind of things, and then to bring it over to the United States as far as making sure that women, girls are heard and being able to voice who they are and be able to accept who they are and be able to just go into um in place, do things that they never would have done. I think about Amanda Gorman right now, how she was able to deliver that at the inaugural for the to President Biden's presidency, what she had to say, the hills we climb, to make us think. So thank you, Michelle Obama, for everything that you have done. I look forward to the mini film that you have and her books of the light that we carry, overcoming uncertain um, times. And we are definitely in uncertain times. And I'm thankful that her book, Becoming, and The Light We Carry, Overcoming in Uncertain Times, has won Grammy awards. And the ones that she's done, The Light We Carry with Oprah Winfrey and herself, she was nominated. They were nominated for that. So I just want to um, give kudos to her and acknowledge her right now. And thank you so much, Earl, for allowing us to be here celebrating Women's History Month.
Well, it is indeed my pleasure to be able to allow that to happen because, again, we must continue to acknowledge and support and uplift those who have done some outstanding, great things in our country. And I think I can't say I recall any first lady being as, wow, what will be the word? Not powerful, um, as visible, I guess would be a word to
Pre-
cover it up. She
Mhm.
has been very visible. She's been very instrumental in making her presence known and saying things. So I don't know if we've had many first ladies to actually carry that banner like her and the initiatives that she's put into place. Uh, a couple of names come to mind as far as visibility. Of course, former First Lady Jackie Kennedy uh, caught us all and gave us a presence from a fashionable standpoint when she was the First Lady for former President John F. Kennedy. But I don't think her social or civil presence was anything close to being what Michelle Obama has been. And it's been, we're grateful that she was that first lady along with former President Barack Obama. That family, I think, because their children were so young when they came into office, of course, because he was the first Black man to be elected president and she was the first Black woman to be first lady. I think all those things wrapped around them to make that family a truly first family that we will always remember and always highlight. So thank you for bringing her to the show today. Well, it looks like we have run out of our time today. We thank you all for joining us here on the Kitchings Table. As always, every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m., we ask you to join us. Once again, we'd like to thank our guest today, Cindy Harper, author of Road Signs to Wisdom. Get her book. Go online and you'll find it. Get her book when you check it out. And we look forward to having everyone back with us next Tuesday morning for another edition of the Kitchings Table. To my co-host, Ron Lee Kennedy, for the phenomenal work she does to bring us our guests and other things that she brings to the show. Ron Lee, thank you so very much.
It's my pleasure.
So until next Tuesday morning, as we say here at the Kitchings Table, as always, go out and do something good for somebody else today. Hey, take care. See you guys next Tuesday.